I didn't keep my passion for marching. The video where I talk about like how I went from center snare to in snare twice, this one during my 5th summer, that I got into that car accident that made it so I couldn't march years 6 or 7. And I was so wrapped up in being on drumline, basically like my entire identity. Everything I did was focusing on improving for drumline. When I was no longer able to do that and it was cut short early and I didn't have that opportunity to like do the things I set out to do, the goals that I had been working on for years in 2007 when it was my age out year, and I watched like a drumline giving taps off the field and I was not on that field, I broke down. Like I wept. Like I went into the parking lot and just cried because like I could not handle everything I was working towards. I wasn't able to do it. It was 100% outside of my control. Some dude ran a red light and that had an impact on me because of a decision that they made. I'd done everything I was supposed to do in terms of like getting better. And after that, I stopped watching drum lines. I stopped watching lock clips. I stopped going to shows. It was just too hard for me to have a passion for something that I felt like a loss toward because I wasn't able to complete what I had set out to do. It was difficult for me. So COVID happened and everything was shut down. I was like, I have a desire to like work with drum lines again, but I can't. And a coworker of mine at the time was like, well, you've created like a few hundred educational videos on like coding stuff. Why don't you just create content that is drumming related? So I started to do that. That's why I have like a couple thousand play alongs now and over 15 hours of like drumming tips is because of that coworker who was like, well, you can't teach a drum line because they're not happening. You're not doing anything in person right now. So why don't you just teach remotely using the skills that you developed, like working at the nonprofit? And so I took the educational skills that I was like doing for the coding tutorials that were shared on YouTube, and then I started making these for drummers. And then the play-alongs was like, well, I know how to write music. I've been doing this, writing music since high school on like Finale and Sibelius. So let me create all these play-alongs. So again, like different setbacks in life can like lead to new opportunities that can have a profound impact on like what you end up doing. And that's normal. It's not always fun, but some days I'm like super motivated and some days I'm not. And that also goes into longer periods of life. Some periods of life I'm like super motivated and want to work on something, and then others I just shift to something else. And I can come back and forth between it. You can find thousands more free drumming tips and exercises to improve your chops, limb independence, technique, and more in my YouTube channel's home tab or neatly organized in the link at the top of the screen.